Hi, I'm Doug, and these are Wycliffe's words. I'm amazed at how often my study of Middle English and the Wycliffe Bible intersect with life around me. For example, one Sunday we were visiting a church in Central Florida, and the minister was preaching on worship. He pointed to the joy of the early Christians as recorded in Acts 2:46. I leaned over to Sally and whispered, "Wycliffe calls that full-out joy." I knew that because I had just written a devotion based on that very verse, which you can see in week 33 of this series. The preacher then went on to speak of our love for God, and he quoted Elie Wiesel, who said, "The opposite of love is not hate, it's indifference." I almost fell out of the pew, because I had already planned to use that very same quote in an upcoming devotion. And I guess it's time to share that one with you, here in week 45. As the book of Acts describes the history of the early church, the atmosphere quickly shifts from full-out joy to grumbling, grutching, and griping. The church had been living out its love for one another by providing food for its most needy. Some members pointed out, though, that this food wasn't being distributed fairly. The widows who were ethnically Hebrew were being well taken care of, but the widows who were of a Greek background were being overlooked. Okay, I thought. Some unfortunate women were falling through the cracks. Apologize, set it right, and move on. It's not that big a deal, right? Well, if that were the case, why would Wycliffe use such strong language to describe the incident? He says that the Greek disciples complained that their widows were being despised in the daily ministering. Goodness. Did the leaders of the Jerusalem church really hate those poor women so much that they were starving them out of spite? No, I don't think so. In Middle English, the word despise often meant nothing stronger than ignore or overlook, as the NIV translates it. So it's not as bad as it sounds. They didn't hate the widows. They were simply indifferent to them. That's better, right? Well, not really, no. That's what Wiesel was getting at when he said that the opposite of love is indifference. To love is to care for someone deeply. The opposite of caring deeply is to not care at all. If the apostles were overlooking the Greek widows because they simply didn't notice them, that indicates a terrible lack of awareness and a total lack of love on their part. I have to confess that Sally is a much more loving person than I am in that respect. She sees the needs around us much more readily than I do. She's always pointing out someone who needs a hand and nudges me to step up and do something about it. Whereas if I'd been left to my own devices, I probably would have passed by, oblivious, lost in my own little world of words and ideas. Do I despise those people? No, of course not. But I'm certainly not loving them. And that's just as bad. And those are Wycliffe's words. See you again next week.